Alright, so here's where we're at. By the end of this video, you should be able to start thinking of drawing the body using shapes if you aren't already. And the reason why this is very important, very, very important, is when you are drawing from your imagination or from pictures, if you can't think of the body in shapes, you're not really going to understand why certain things look a certain way on the picture, and it will cause you to draw it incorrectly. So for instance, if you imagine that this cannon right here, if you imagine this cannon right here is a brick, you'll notice, or excuse me, as you're drawing it from, if I took a picture of myself and you were drawing this, you would be able to notice, oh look, there's a muscle here. When I'm imagining how to draw this 3D shape, I can account for this little muscle right here. Now when you first start doing this, images might look a little like Minecraft characters. As you get better over time, they'll start to look more human. But you gotta start doing this because this is really how you start unlocking that new level, getting into that next domain. So let's just go through the body parts together and break them down into shapes. So I've used real images and I'm just gonna draw directly over them so you can really see one-to-one what these shapes look like over the body. So first, the arm is basically a rectangular cylinder. And if you look at your own arm, it probably looks a lot like this. Depending on how much weight or muscle you have, it might determine whether or not your arm or the arm you're drawing is more like a rectangle, which has more hard edges, or more like a cylinder, which has more soft edges. But either way, and I'm gonna draw the hand too, so that you can see how drawing it this way really helps you understand what the hand would look like, because this is such an extreme position. You can see there are things that you can't see looking at the picture, but knowing where it is on the body, it helps you determine how to draw what you can see. Does that make sense? My brother, does that make sense? My sister, does that make sense? Okay, so I'm gonna do this one more time just so you can really see what I'm talking about, and I'm gonna speed this up, and I'm drawing directly on top of the image. One thing you'll notice too, the finger is also a little bit of a cylindrical shape. You can actually break the finger down, each joint, into 3 different parts. But another really important thing is when I'm labeling edge here, that edge represents what you will actually see in your final drawing. So the point of drawing things in 3D shapes is so that you know where your edges are. Okay, does that make sense? Does that make sense? Do that make sense? Let's do another one. Let's do another one. Very quickly, here is one more arm. Here's the basic shape. And the green represents what you can't see. The red represents the edges of what you actually see. As you get better, it'll be easier for you to just draw the red part. But as you're learning, it can be very helpful to try and draw even the parts you can't see, like when you're practicing, and then moving to your final drawings. Want to burp like that? Drink water. Stay hydrated. You want to belch like me? You want to belch like me? Yeah. Sorry, I just became 8 for a second, but you know what? I'm just gonna chill here. I'm just gonna stay at 8 for the rest of this video, maybe. So you hear more of that? Sorry. Now the chest is basically a wedge shape. So think like half of a carrot or like a door stopper, but like not all the way to the skinny part. And the chest is also a little confusing because, in my opinion, the chest ends where the rib cage ends, so where your final ribs are, right above your abs. And the reason for that is because the stomach and the abs are so flexible, it's really helpful to separate the chest from the stomach, because when you're drawing poses, that's where your movement's gonna be at. And that'll make more sense as you get better and you draw more dynamic poses. Dynamic! But here, let me show you on the body. Another thing with the chest too, this is one of the main areas of difference between men and women. Men's chests from shoulder to shoulder are about 2 head lengths, whereas women's is about 1 head length. That can vary a little bit, but generally speaking, men have a mucho wider chest than women, from shoulder to shoulder. Okay, in case you're getting a little bit lost on how to connect these 3D shapes to actually drawing a body which does not at all look like cubes and blocks, this is a little simple exercise that I'll do sometimes in order to develop understanding body parts as 3D shapes in space. What I mean is just out there in the real world. And so I've just taken a leg in a crouch position and drawn 2 rectangles and then a little wedge for the foot. Now, the purpose in doing this isn't to begin drawing like this. But a helpful way to think about this is if you were building like an actual sculpture, maybe out of logs or something, you would start by creating just a general mass of your figure, and then from there you would begin to carve away how the figure actually looks, but first establishing this 3D figure, even if it's kind of crude and looks like blocks and stuff, is a great way so that you can kind of get your bearings on, okay, the leg goes that far backwards, or the arm curves this far this direction. As you get better, it'll be way easier for you to go from drawing raw objects to the actual figure, and even when you get to a point, you won't even really have to draw these literal of shapes anymore. You'll get so good at it that you'll just skip right on to drawing the figure. So, but as you're starting out, this is helpful because it helps you to see things in the way that they actually appear, which is three-dimensional, rather than tracing an outline of a figure. Now on the legs, the thigh, so the area between the pelvis and the knee, is more like a tapering cylinder. I tend to draw this shape more like a cylinder because there's so much fat in the thigh, even on muscular people. There's not really any hard edges, so in my opinion, drawing it as a more cylindrical shape is more accurate. You can draw it as a rectangle if you like that. That really depends on your drawing style. But then the lower leg, so between the knee and the foot, that's more like a rectangle. That doesn't taper quite as much as the thigh. And then on the left side, or excuse me, on the side facing outward, there's usually a little bit of a protrusion because of the calf muscle. And then the foot is pretty much a true doorstopper. It's a wedge. And of all the body parts, it's the most wedge-like shape that you have on the human body. Again, we are talking about very basic shapes here. And of course, I will draw it directly over the picture so you can see the slightly tapered. And actually, I did use kind of a more rectangular shape for the thigh here, and then the same for the calf, much less tapered. Also, let me kind of show you what it looks like when you transition from drawing shapes to just drawing the edge, which is what you actually see. So you can see here, I'm gonna trace around the leg, and then I will shift between my blocks and then just the edge, so you can kind of see how one helps the other. And now the head, very quickly, is pretty simple and probably what people like drawing the most. There's two ways to draw it. One is you can just draw a basic egg shape. This is the way that generally I draw it. Sometimes this can help you to get the position of the head or the angle of the head really well. Some of the drawbacks to drawing just the egg shape is that it can be hard to draw the head in extreme positions. The second method is to draw like the cranium. So you would draw a circle that the bottom of the circle would go right below the eyes, and then you would sort of draw the jawline or the jaw as like almost like a block within that circle. Either is fine. I kind of jump between both, but the second version allows you to draw the head in extreme positions a little bit easier because you can separate the cranium from the jawline, because a lot of times I think people get tripped up drawing the jawline in weird positions, which I totally get it. It's weird. It is weird. And then what is so dang important is that in this picture, I'm using the 3D shapes so that I know how long the edge lines are supposed to be. And here's what I mean. This angle right here is a very close in length, the length of the bicep, to this angle. But because I'm drawing in 3D, I'm drawing using 3D shapes, I know that, hey, this is a little bit shorter than this, because this is like a true length of my bicep, whereas this is kind of going towards you, so it's not gonna be as long. If you're not drawing using 3D shapes, you will probably draw this length incorrectly because you can't really see what you're drawing. Does that make sense? Unless you're gonna draw all your pictures in like a T-pose like Skyrim characters when they're not loaded in correctly. I mean, a lot of people play Skyrim, so maybe that's for somebody out there. It's for me. It's for me though. I don't want to overload you with too much information, and listen, with YouTube attention span, I don't want this to go, unless you want me to go long. Leave a comment unless you want me to go longer. I'm going to cut it there for now, even though there's like 1,000 more things I want to share, but I will begin working on the next video and explain how to move on a couple more body parts that I didn't talk about, like the pelvis and the waist and the hands, which the hands really needs its own video, and how to really connect these and begin moving from drawing shapes to drawing the body. In the meantime, thank you so much for watching. If this helped you in any way, please leave a comment, like, subscribe, share. I also make content on another channel, happy_marriage. Whatever you want to do, I'm here for you, I hope. And thank you for watching, truly. And I really hope this helped. I really do. And if it didn't, let me know too. Give it a one of these. But I hope it helped. Alrighty. Love you so much. Bye, Felicia.